Today we're covering foreclosure and auction data scraping with Proxies in 2026. Foreclosure and auction properties represent some of the most lucrative opportunities in real estate investing, but finding them before the competition requires speed, data, and persistence. Foreclosure listings are scattered across county courthouse websites, federal agency portals, bank REO departments, and auction platforms, each with different formats, update schedules, and access restrictions. Scraping these sources systematically with Proxies gives you a comprehensive view of distressed properties that manual research could never achieve. This guide covers how to build a foreclosure data pipeline that aggregates listings from every major source and delivers actionable deals to your inbox. Foreclosure properties move through predictable life cycle, and different data sources become relevant at each stage. The earlier you identify a foreclosure, the less competition you face and the deeper the potential discount. Pre-foreclosure and auction data are the most valuable, but also the hardest to scrape because they are often published on fragmented local government websites. County courthouse websites are the primary source for pre-foreclosure data. Notices of default, list pendants filings, and auction schedules are all published here. The challenge is that there are over 3,000 counties in the United States, each with its own website design, data format, and access policies. Some counties use modern web applications with APIs. Others use legacy systems from the 1990s with session-based authentication and frame-based layouts. Start by prioritizing the counties where you invest or plan to invest. Build custom scrapers for each county rather than trying to create a universal solution. Document the structure and quirks of each county's system so you can maintain and update scrapers as sites change. Now, despite the variety, most county recorder sites fall into a few common patterns. Many use a handful of software platforms. Tyler Technologies, Granicus, and Civic Plus power a large percentage of county government websites. Learning the patterns of these platforms lets you build scrapers that work across multiple counties with minimal customization. Session management is critical for government sites. Many require you to accept terms of use, establish a session, and maintain cookies across requests. Use ISP proxies that maintain consistent IP addresses throughout the session. Rotating proxies will break session continuity and force you to restart the authentication flow repeatedly. Auction.com is the largest online real estate auction platform, hosting thousands of foreclosure and bank-owned property auctions weekly. The site provides detailed property information including photos, inspection reports, title status, and auction terms. However, it employs significant anti-scraping measures, including JavaScript rendering, capture challenges, and IP-based rate limiting. To scrape auction.com effectively, use a headless browser like Playwright with residential proxies. The site loads listing data through API calls that you can intercept and pass directly, which is more efficient than passing render HTML. Monitor network requests during a manual browsing session to identify the API endpoints that return listing data, then replicate those requests through your scraper. Key data points to capture include the property address, auction date and time, opening bid amount, property type, occupancy status, and any available inspection or title reports. Track auction results, whether the property sold and at what price, to build a dataset of actual transaction values for comparable analysis. HUD Home Store lists government-owned properties available to the public. These properties were originally insured by FHA mortgages and reverted to HUD after foreclosure. HUD homes often sell at significant discounts, and owner-occupant buyers get priority over investors during an exclusive listing period. The site uses server-side rendering and standard HTML forms for property searches, but does implement basic rate limiting. Use residential proxies and limit requests to 5 to 8 per minute. Parse search results pages to build a complete inventory of available properties, then scrape individual listing pages for detailed property information. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac also sell foreclosed properties through their respective platforms. Home path listings are often available at competitive prices with incentives for owner-occupant buyers. These sites use moderate anti-scraping measures, JavaScript rendering, and rate limiting that residential proxies can handle without difficulty. Major banks maintain their own REO listing portals where they advertise foreclosed properties. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, and other large services each have dedicated REO websites. These properties have already gone through the foreclosure process and are owned by the bank, which is motivated to sell. Bank REO portals vary widely in their technical sophistication. Some are simple HTML pages that are easy to scrape, while others use complex JavaScript applications with anti-bot protections. Build separate scrapers for each bank's portal and configure proxy settings based on the protection level of each site. Track properties across bank portals over time. A property that has been listed on a bank's REO site for more than 90 days is more likely to accept below asking offers. Your scraping pipeline can automatically flag these aged listings as high priority opportunities. Through foreclosure data from different sources uses different formats, field names, and conventions. A courthouse might list a property as 123 Mainstay, Unit 4B, while auction.com lists it as 123 Main Street, number 4B. Your pipeline needs a normalization layer that standardizes addresses, property types, dates, and financial figures across all sources. Address normalization is particularly important for deduplication. The same property may appear on a county auction calendar, auction.com, and a bank career portal simultaneously. Without proper address matching, you will have duplicate records that distort your analysis. Use a geocoding service to standardize addresses and assign geographic coordinates for spatial matching. The ultimate goal of a foreclosure scraping pipeline is to deliver actionable deals to investors in real time. Build an alert system that matches new listings against investor criteria, including location, property type, price range, estimated discount from market value, and condition. When a new listing matches, send an immediate notification with the key details and a link to the source listing. Foreclosure deals often receive multiple offers within hours of being listed. An automated system that alerts you within minutes of a new listing appearing gives you a head start over investors relying on manual searches or slower aggregation services. A foreclosure listing's value depends entirely on the difference between the acquisition price and the property's true market value. Estimating market value requires comparable sales data, which you can scrap from listing sites and public records. For each foreclosure property, identify recently sold properties within a half-mile radius with similar characteristics, same property type, similar size, similar age, and calculate an estimated market value based on their sale prices. Subtract the foreclosure's asking price or opening bid from the estimated market value to calculate the potential discount. Factor estimated repair costs based on property condition and age. Properties with large spreads between acquisition cost and after repair value represent the best investment opportunities. Foreclosure data is generally public information. Notices of default, auction schedules, and court filings are public records by law. However, the websites that publish this data may have terms of service that restrict automated access. Some county sites explicitly prohibit scraping in their terms of use. Respect rate limits on government sites. These systems often run on limited infrastructure, and aggressive scraping can degrade service for legitimate users. Keep request rates conservative. Avoid scraping during business hours when human users are most active, and cache responses to minimize repeat requests. Be mindful that behind every foreclosure is a homeowner in financial distress. Use scrape data ethically for legitimate investment and analysis purposes. Do not use foreclosure data for predatory practices, harassment, or unauthorized disclosure of personal financial information. Third, foreclosure data is time sensitive. Auction dates pass, properties sell, and listings are removed daily. Run your scrapers at least once per day for auction platforms and twice per week for county recorder sites. Archive every version of every listing so you can track changes and analyze patterns over time. Start with one or two data sources in your target market, validate the data quality, and refine your passes before adding more sources. A reliable pipeline covering 2 sources is far more valuable than a brittle pipeline attempting to cover 10. Government and auction websites update their designs without notice, so set up automated checks that verify your scraper is still extracting data correctly by asserting that every past listing has a non-empty address and a positive price. When these checks fail, you know the site has changed and your parcel needs updating. Well, how quickly do foreclosure properties sell after being listed? It varies by market conditions and property type. In competitive markets, well-priced bank real properties can receive multiple offers within 24 to 48 hours of listing. Auction properties sell on their scheduled auction date. HUD homes have structured bidding periods, typically 5 to 15 days for exclusive listing periods, then open bidding. Pre-foreclosure properties may take months from notice of default to actual auction. Speed matters most for Oreo listings and auction registrations. Do you need separate proxies for each county courthouse website? Not necessarily separate proxies, but you do need separate proxy configurations. Use ISP proxies with static IPs for county sites that require session persistence, and consider using IPs geolocated to the same state as the county. For federal sites like HUD Home Store, standard residential rotating proxies work well. Maintain separate rate limiters for each site to avoid overwhelming any single source. Some county recorder and court record sites require free registration to access search functionality. Create accounts legitimately using real information. Assign each account to a specific ISP proxy so the login IP remains consistent. Do not create multiple accounts per site. One legitimate account with respectable scraping behavior is less likely to be blocked than multiple accounts that appear coordinated. Automated repair cost estimation is challenging because condition details are often limited in foreclosure listings. Use proxy indicators like the property's age, time since last sale, and any available inspection reports or photos. Build a model based on historical data. Properties of a certain age in a certain condition category typically require a predictable range of repair investment. Refine your model over time as you compare estimates with actual renovation costs from your completed projects. Paid foreclosure data services like AdTom, RealtyTrack, and PropStream aggregate data from the same sources you would scrap. Scrapping these aggregators is generally against their terms of service and is not recommended. However, you can use their APIs if they offer one, or combine a paid subscription for baseline data with your own scrapping for sources they do not cover, or for fresher data in your priority markets. Many investors use a hybrid approach where paid services provide national coverage and custom scrapping provides a competitive edge in their target markets. For more guides like this one, visit us at dataresearchtools.com. See you in the next one.